Hello everybody, and for the benefit of those listening on the audio, my name's James and you're listening to my regular YouTube live stream, Ask James, where I welcome questions from the YouTube community on anything football related. I'll be here for you for the next 55 minutes or so. Before I get into the questions, just a brief update of some of the team news ahead of tomorrow morning's game week 35 deadline. No Chelsea press conference scheduled for today, so guess away on what Thomas Tuchel might be thinking or might well do for Sunday's trip to Everton. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is in the Everton squad for that fixture on Sunday. Maxwell Cornet is a doubt for Burnley. Mikel Arteta has said that Bukayo Saka should be fit to start for Arsenal on Sunday. He's trained. There's not expected to be any problems there. Sergio Reguilon is out of Tottenham's encounter against Leicester on Sunday, which presumably means a nailed start for Ryan Sessegnon. Obviously, Kurt Zouma played for West Ham United last night. Whether they'll risk him on Sunday against Arsenal to be seen. Jadon Sancho won't be available for Manchester United against Brentford on Monday. Other than that, there's no major team news to update you on. John Stones, Cole Walker remain out for Manchester City. Right, let's get into the questions. Dan L says, "Hi James, cash in for James is a definite. Might wait on Coutinho till 36 to see if Leicester get to the final or not, and if I get rid of Maddison or Mount. Good idea, much love." I mean, in my opinion, Dan, if you listen to the differential show on Patreon this morning, my idea would be get Coutinho now, personally. I haven't ruled out captaining him this week. I haven't decided yet. It probably comes down to my final choice on wildcard is probably going to be De Bruyne and Son versus Coutinho and Foden. De Bruyne and Son or Salah and Foden. If I go Salah, probably captain Salah. If I go the De Bruyne and Son route, I might captain Coutinho this week. So Coutinho is definitely going to be in on the wild card for myself. I'd get him in, mate, personally. Maddison, I don't think starts on Sunday against Tottenham. And Mason Mount's obviously got a good fixture. Yes, he will play more Chelsea games than most, but I think there's something to be said about potentially moving that on, actually. You're cool, Dan. Lin Tian Bao says, "Hey, James, are you still pretty much locked in for free hit 38? Have a good Friday." I was never locked into it, but it's looking like that's probably the way I'm going to go. I think I'm probably going to have 3 Villa, 2 Everton. I think it's looking like on wildcard. Therefore, I'm going to be in a decent position for 37 in any case. So what am I free hitting? Another Everton, a few Palace players. I'll probably have Schmeichel in goal. The other, City, Liverpool, Tottenham still got good fixtures. If I decide to go with Son, my bench will look like a headache that week. So it might be that I'm better off going, okay, look, I'll free hit 38, get rid of all those assets that have got good fixtures 37, obviously got bad fixtures 38. If I decide to just go with just Gordon from Everton, i.e. if I decide not to go with Richarlison, then I may still free hit 37. The honest truth is, I haven't thought about it a lot this afternoon because I've been too busy looking at all the team news and stuff. I will make that decision tonight for sure. But yes, I probably am free hitting 38, I think. Sim Dehir says, "Hi James, hope you're good. I'm currently sat on triple Chelsea attack with a plan to bench boost 36, free hit 37. Is it worth moving Werner to Watkins this week or just roll him?" I'd move it, mate, personally. I'd move it, yeah. Watkins, look, good record scored 4 times, against Liverpool last season as well. You've got with Villa, Norwich at home. You've then got a double, which includes Burnley away as the first fixture. They've got a brilliant 37 double. That said, if you're free hitting 37, it's not as appealing. But I think Werner at the moment is probably part of Chelsea's strongest lineup, and I don't think he plays both in 36. But if he plays at Everton, you'd probably be reluctant to move it on. It's a tough one. I think selling Chelsea assets is really difficult. I think bottom line, if you've got a Chelsea asset and you think they start on Sunday, keep them, would be the advice. If you don't, move it. Dan says, "Have your thoughts changed after last night on Ronaldo for Monday night in Sky?" Well, I didn't watch the game last night, Dan, but obviously he scored again. And the intention was probably to buy Ronaldo on Monday for that game in Sky Fantasy Football. So No change. Be very honest though, Dan. I had no planned transfers for tomorrow or Sunday in Sky Fantasy. I think for the teams playing on Sunday, I'd be better off waiting another week personally. So I will assess my situation on Sunday night. S. Ross says, "Hi James, hope you and yours are well. On wildcard, Foster, Sessegnon, Coutinho and Nketiah, or Pickford, White, Ramsey, Pookie. Bench boost 36, free hit 38. Thank you." The note on Sessegnon is, look, I think he has favouritism over Reguilon, but the note on the Reguilon injury is that the reason he stayed on the bench was he went into the Brentford game with a bit of a niggle in terms of his injury. So we still don't 100% know that Sessegnon's got favouritism. I'm probably going Foster, but I'm concerned about it because I said I think if Watford get beat tomorrow, I think they'll be looking for another manager again in midweek. That concerns me a little bit. And Nketiah, I think's okay, and I'm probably going with, but as Adam Pritchard said on Clash to Correspondence yesterday, he thought there was a good chance that maybe he wouldn't start the Tottenham game. But then you've still got the Leeds fixture at home as the first part of the double. I think I prefer the first option, the Coutinho option, I think. Hola Stamos says, "Hello James, hope you're doing good. Do I sell Kai Havertz for Coutinho or Foden? Free hitting in game week 37. I still think Coutinho, actually. I genuinely think he's right up there in terms of captaincy potential for this week, personally. That will look stupid come Saturday night, no doubt. But yeah, I Coutinho at the moment. Admittedly, I may be going with both. Foden comes with for me, as I said, if I go Salah. If I don't, he doesn't. And therefore, it's Coutinho over Foden for me. Birth Media says, "Hello, James. 2 questions. Mane's playing more centrally. How does this affect Jota? Is he an option? Secondly, do you think a Lukaku-Kane swap deal is possible?" No, don't see Lukaku-Kane swap happening at all, personally. If Harry Kane went, I think, and Conte stayed, then I think Tottenham would be very interested in Lukaku because Lukaku's best club work has been with Antonio Conte, obviously at Inter Milan. In terms of Jota's positioning, it's been a little off-putting. Obviously, you got the development of Diaz as well, but I also think that could change, where Salah might get left out for a game and Mane plays on the right, for example. Jota's back through the middle. Can they move Mane to the left and Jota back through the middle? Yes. I think it's something they've tried recently and they've had some success with. Jota is not quite as appealing, in my opinion, from out wide, but still very capable, right? He's still a great asset. The only thing that doesn't make Jota a great asset is doubts about whether he'll start, in effect. Was he 8.3? If he played every game, we'd want him. If I knew he was going to play every game, he'd be in my team. Same probably applies to Luis Diaz at the moment. I'm not going to give myself the headache, I don't think. Sean McGing says, "Get rid of Maddison for Foden this week." Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, mate. I think that's absolutely fine. Adam English says, "Afternoon, mate. Thoughts on our medical team at Spurs? Skippy injury has brought up the concern again." It's a difficult one, right? Because we can all give it the kind of medical hindsight stuff ourselves, but we're not medical experts, so I'm sure there's a reason why Tottenham decided to wait. I mean, the injury he's got is a pubis injury. I don't even know what that is. So it's an unusual one where they thought the pain would go away. I think a little bit like what happened with Bamford, and although a very different injury, but it just wouldn't go away by all accounts. So they decided to work on it because they decided they can't get him ready for the end of the season. I think we can overreact to a little bit, Adam. We're not medical experts. I don't know, you might be. I'm certainly not. So it's frustrating, but that's what's happened. They're not the only ones. Alistair Coper says, "Hey mate, would you do Havertz to Foden for free this week or wait till next week? Trying to decide which one is more likely to start." They could both start. Neither might start. I think in that one, it's arguably a leave. Say like the previous one, I don't think Maddison plays for Leicester on Sunday. And I don't even think Maddison probably plays both games in Leicester's 36 double. So I think that one's a bit easier. The same applies the following week though, right? You'd look at Chelsea's double in 36 and think, well, Havertz isn't playing twice. But does Foden? The one positive on Foden is looking back at his minutes since New Year's Day. The victory over Watford last week was the only league game since New Year's Day that he hasn't started, actually. So he's consistently playing a lot. I think if you think Havertz plays, you stick. Because you could easily move and it could be the wrong way round, right? Birth Media says, last question, who is the better option between Watkins and Richarlison? Thanks. Depends a little bit. They've both got super doubles in 37. I think because of the fixture this weekend, the slight advantage is with Watkins, personally. Zaris says, hello mate, what should I do with Havertz? Play him or buy Coutinho? Another thing is sell Lacazette for Watkins. Greetings from sunny Greece. Lacazette to Watkins is, yeah, crack on, get on with it, I think, mate. Havertz, it's repetitive, guys, I'm really sorry, but if you think he plays, I generally stick, though I do think Coutinho is an exceptional option this particular week. I think if you're going to buy him, you want to do it now, really. Stephen Moore says, football conspiracy theory. Okay. 75% of Monday night footballs have to be at Selhurst Park. Think about it. You know I'm right. Here's a better one for you, Stephen. Tottenham Hotspur are never allowed to have a home game at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. December 2019 was the last one. C. Tobbs, FPL Lion says, yes, James, is a -12 okay for bench boost 36? Lol. It depends, right? So if you're making -12 and it's strengthening your team over this week and next week, then fine. If you're doing it specifically for the benefit of bench boost, I would want to add the equivalent of that onto my basic bench boost target of 16 points. So if you -12, do you think that bench boost is suddenly going to get you 28 points? Well, it's probably doubtful. So I think it's a little too much for me. -4s, maybe even -8s, -12 feels like a push too far if the transfers are specifically for your bench, i.e. your weakest players. I wouldn't bother. Zach Farnell says, hello James, thanks for this week's top content as per who's in the wild card. I can't tell you factually because I haven't 100% decided, but I'll tell you that all the players that are under consideration. So Schmeichel's going to be in. It's going to be Foster or Pickford. I haven't decided which one yet. It's probably going to be Foster. Matty Cash will be in. So will Coutinho and Watkins, so the treble Villa. I think the rest of the back five is probably going to be Trent, Robertson, Cancelo and Laporte. But there might be variations of that, and any one of them could be cut to financially do something else. Like, I haven't ruled out Van Dijk. I haven't ruled out Matip, for example. It might be I decide to save the money to push something else. In midfield, Saka's highly likely to be in, but not definite. Anthony Gordon's going to be in. And then, as I said, the other two spots is probably going to be Salah and Foden, or De Bruyne and Son. Up front, Watkins, and it's almost definitely going to be Nketiah or Richarlison. The only other forward that's under consideration is Pukki. So that's roughly where I'm going to be. There's a few others I haven't completely ruled out. I haven't completely ruled out Kulusevski, like he's sitting in my squad. Bought him at 6.1, he's now 6.4, so he's still sitting there at the moment in case I have a change of heart. But I think he's going to go because I've got too many fears that he might end up back at wing back. But if he stays high in the front three, then he's still an absolutely terrific asset and a potential facilitator. So the problem is, it doesn't really make sense for me to go Gordon, Coutinho, Saka, Kulusevski, because I can't even spend the money elsewhere. Should I even want to? There's nothing I can get up to then make it like Harry Kane, for example, instead of Nketiah. It doesn't work. So I think Kulusevski's probably going to be a no. It's probably been hanging around in case Saka had been ruled out. He might have stayed instead of Saka, but I think at the moment Saka's the better option, isn't he? Lin Tian Bao says, glad to see the back in the thumbnail. The what just didn't have the same effect, I feel. It's all Nico's work. He's the man on all the art stuff now. So whatever he gives me, I'll say, yeah, cheers, mate. JP says, hi, James. Are you playing Gaffer? And if so, what do you make of the different chips and chip windows in the game? Should FPL shake up the chips next season? Cheers and keep up the great work. Yes, I've been playing Gaffer. I want to say I'm about 160th or something. I I think. Not too bad. I thought I had a really good week in the week, but didn't seem to move anywhere despite having a game week rank of about 300. So that happens obviously when you get to this stage of a season where it's all very condensed and stuff. But yeah, going alright. Not too bad. In terms of the chips, so for the benefit of those who are unaware, basically you get 9 chips in a season, which are broken into 3 thirds. So you can use them you use 3 in the first third of the season, you use 3 in the second third, you use 3 in the third third of the season, and you get a choice to use 3 from any of 6. So you actually get the choice of 18 chips in total, but you can only use 9, and you have to use 3 in those 3 different thirds. I think it adds to the drama in terms of the planning, and it obviously can lead to some really high scores. The setup of Gaffer and the point system is slightly different as well anyway, so it is a higher scoring game. I will stand by what I always say, that the target audience for official FPL are not people like you and me and the others watching. It is to keep the less engaged. So overcomplicating this game is not who FPL are appealing to. If anything, they're more likely to simplify the game, I feel. So I think that it's a global phenomenon now. You've got 1 million players, you've got 8 other robots. They don't want to mess about with it and overcomplicate the game. So no, I don't think they will. You could argue they've overcomplicated it this year with the 2-3 hits, and you can't use them consecutively. That's because enough people moaned at them. And again, they did it to keep people engaged, because that's what they want. They want the average person to be engaged. That's what they really want. Abolish Monday says, hi James, great podcast and content. What team do you think will complete more transfers in the summer window between Arsenal, if they clinch Champions League, Spurs, if Antonio Conte stays, and Manchester United end in 7th? Well, I think all 3 of those clubs are going to want to be busy no matter what. I mean, in Tottenham's case, even if Conte goes, the squad still needs an overhaul. I think in Arsenal's case, they'll have to get bodies in, irrespective of where they finish, because the squad is thin. They really did thin out the squad because they had no European competition this year. So they'll certainly be in Europe next year, whether it's Champions League or Europa League. So they'll certainly need a bigger squad. There's no doubt about that. And Manchester United squad needs a mass overhaul. They've got a number of players out of contract and stuff. So very difficult to say. United have got to be careful, as we covered on Tuesday's podcast, not to think buying 1 Declan Rice or buying 1 Harry Kane is going to fix their problems. No, they need to buy 3 or 4 players with the sort of money they'd spend on a Rice or Kane, for example. So really difficult to say, actually. Really difficult. I think, arguably, Arsenal will be the least. They've got a few players out on loan, like Saliba and stuff, who can obviously add to the squad. So in terms of actual signings, they might be the least. Spurs need new bodies either way. No doubt about it. And so do United. But to be honest, they'll all probably be pretty similar, I should imagine. Westham A says, hi James, KDB or Kane captain this week? KDB for me, I think. I don't see any reason why he won't start, with the game being on a Saturday in between fixtures on Tuesday, Wednesday. City's game against Newcastle isn't until the Sunday either, so I see no reason why he won't start. I think Leeds defensively have tightened up quite a bit under Jesse Marsh, but it's big game season and he's big game Kev, as I always say. So I think KDB. I wonder if those going Kane would be as confident doing so if it wasn't for Kane's historical record against Leicester. I'm seeing a lot of Kane and Son captaincies knocking about, and I think it's fine, by the way. And I can't promise that if I go Son that I wouldn't captain Son, but I think I'd captain KDB over him. So now I think it's definitely KDB over Kane as well, personally. You got that little bit more, haven't you? The extra point for the goal, the extra point for the possible clean sheet. Any returns is every chance is in the bonus. KDB could score once and it's 11 points, couldn't he? Kane could score once, it could be 6 points. It's reality. So KDB for me. FPL Humdinger says, hi James, keep up the great content. Sterling worth it if you can't get to KDB. Surely starts or other alternatives better. I got to be honest, I did a poll for our patrons this morning and put out 8 or 9 captaincy options, and I didn't have Sterling on it. And a lot of the patrons came back and said, going with Sterling. I was like, okay, cool. And I really don't mind it. Particularly, look, there isn't right or wrong at this stage of the season. Some people are trying to chase. So you go with people like Sterling, perhaps like I'm maybe doing with Coutinho maybe. You got people who want to protect and obviously just want to stay with Salah and stuff, and that's fine. And to be honest, even if I want to chase a little bit, it doesn't mean I can't captain Mo Salah, right? Because I'll look at it and go, well, I'm wildcard and I've got other differentials I'm bringing into the team that can help me rise if I decide Salah's the best captaincy option. So I think it's absolutely fine. In terms of, does he definitely start? I don't know. The only thing I'd add to it is, I'd be very surprised if Foden and Mahrez don't play again in the Bernabeu. So it leads you to think that Sterling probably will play. We played against Watford last week and didn't return. So I do think sometimes we can lead ourselves down a desperation route because of Manchester City assets and wanting/needing to have some of it. And I think the best strategy for the majority of this season has been to leave it. But honestly, if you feel it strongly about Sterling, I don't have a problem with it. Do I think he starts? Probably yes. But what's to say that it couldn't be Bernardo or De Bruyne at false 9 and Grealish on the left and Jesus on the right? Basically, we're trying to guess Pep. What did Luke, FF Scout, say? He's the man with the plan. He released the pod purely on Man City assets for the rest of the season. I suggest you have a look at that. He's top notch in terms of predicting what City will do. So give Luke a follow, FF Scout _ Luke. Stian Bosdale says, hello, darling. Hello, darling. Thank you for bringing your wife on the pod. Yes, she made an appearance on the Patreon pod yesterday. Absolutely brilliant, says Stian. I've got 14 double game week players for 36, but includes 3 Chelsea and 3 Tottenham at the moment. Sideways moves worth doing. Free hit 37 for me. Roll the transfer sounds like the right thing to do here, mate, and make the assessment next week, I think. It sounds like the best thing to do. Look, Tottenham do have a good fixture this weekend, as do Chelsea. You'll know as a Chelsea fan, Stian, what the risks are in terms of the Chelsea assets, but I think as you are, you're better off sitting tight, doing nothing in the majority of cases, and then seeing how you feel this time next week. If you can go like a Kulusevski to a Coutinho, then I probably recommend it at the moment, but there might be bias in that I've completely convinced myself on Coutinho, I think, in terms of targeting Norwich, his numbers at Villa Park being better than in away games, his numbers being far stronger against really weak and open teams, and believing that this is a really good time to get on him. West Ham A says, do you think Nketiah keeps his place and starts each game? What about Martinelli as he lost his place? So I highly recommend West Ham listening to yesterday's Clash of the Correspondent, where obviously our Arsenal correspondent Adam Pritchard was on with us previewing the weekend game with West Ham. As I said earlier in the stream, he thinks there's a fair chance Nketiah won't start the Tottenham game. I believe that, and I don't think he's as convinced about it, and he knows his team better than I do. I believe there's a correlation at the moment to Smith Rowe's minutes increasing because Nketiah's minutes are increasing. So obviously when Lacazette plays, he drops into deeper areas, so Martinelli stays wider, which keeps the width for Arsenal. I think Nketiah's obviously a player who wants to play on the shoulder of defenders a little bit more. He's more an out-and-out finisher, goal scorer, if you will. So Smith Rowe's kind of joining Odegaard in the zone of the 10 at the moment, if you will. So Martinelli, I know Suj is still quite high on. I'm not at the moment. That's not a consideration, I don't think. I think Nketiah probably looks good for the West Ham Leeds games. Beyond that, it's a little bit of a guess. And that's the one thing that obviously puts me off a little bit. But what we've got right now is we've got 5.4 million forward playing up front for what is currently the 4th best team in the league. Isn't it overthinking not to just go for it in most cases? I'd bought him in last week. No regrets on that. I'd seen enough in the Southampton and Chelsea fixtures to make me believe he'd keep his place. So far he has. It would be a surprise, I think, if he got left out for the West Ham game. But look, Arteta might view it differently. He might go, well, West Ham have been playing a back 3 again recently. Perhaps get Lacazette to drop off, get overall dominance in the midfield area. Perhaps it will be a difficult game for Nketiah to find space. There's many different ways Arteta can look at it. But I do think at the moment Nketiah will stay in the team, is my own opinion. Rob Pick says, currently own Salah, Sterling, Havertz, Werner. Think I want to move off Chelsea for the bench boost. Would you go Saka and Richarlison or Watkins? or Son and Dennis? Free hit 37. Or would you go Raz to Son and Havertz to Saka? No, I mean, look, I'm not big on Sterling personally, Rob, but a lot of other people are at the moment, and I think that's fine. So it depends on your own personal opinion, but I think the getting Saka and Watkins at this minute looks the right play, I think. Ali Bismo says, hello James, hope you're well. Do you think it's a good move to hold Sterling this week or sell to Son? Or have both, but have to downgrade Havertz to a 4.5 million mid? Cheers, mate. Well, you can consider Dewsbury Hall, of course, who seems to be playing nearly every game for Leicester, but I think there has to be an expectation that there's going to be a break for him somewhere, because he's been playing all the European games and all the league games. He's obviously got a very good engine and really good natural fitness. So he's the one, I guess, that would facilitate, but I think really it's probably one or the other, unless it works naturally, which it doesn't sound like it does for you. If you think Sterling starts, you hold, I think, personally. If you don't, move it. You know that Sonny will play, right? Alistair Coper says, I've finally settled on 37 as the week to free hit. Interested to hear your current thoughts on when you think you'll free hit, and what kind of free hit side you'll pick if it was 37. Well, as covered earlier, Alistair, no, I'm not ruling it out yet, but I think I'm probably heading towards a free hit 38. If I was free hitting 37, honestly, I would go for it. Go for it hard. I'd go 3 Everton, 3 Villa, at least 2 Palace, arguably a bit of Leicester. Arguably, perhaps that's a judgment on Chelsea, because that's Leicester's second fixture in a double by the time you get there. And then, of course, you could fit in, I think, your 2 biggest premiums. So whether that's whatever you want at the time, Salah and Son, or however you feel about it. So yeah, 9 or so doublers. But the way I'm going to end up wildcard analyst, it could be that I'm going to land there with sort of 6 or so, and strong Liverpool and Man City assets. So it's probably going to be better for me to free hit in 38, minimise the bench and fit in as much power I can, and obviously get rid of those Everton and Villa players. And obviously I've got all the information I need to perhaps go back into Chelsea for the final game against Watford. City got Villa at home, Liverpool at home to Wolves. Maybe that's one where I go without Salah. Maybe if I go with him now and go final, go to defensive. Wolves aren't a team that's going to get beat sort of 4-5-0. Go back into Arsenal. Obviously Tottenham got Norwich. I could go Kane and Son final day if I want to. I feel like there's more variation in what I can do 38. But that doesn't mean 37 is wrong. Like, not at all. Like, I think free hitting 37 is going to be best for the majority of people. Ben Murphy says, hi James, do you think we should try to include one of Son or KDB on wildcard alongside Salah? Bench boost 36 still needs some decent options on the bench. No, and that's what I've said, Ben. I think if I go Salah, then the other 2 aren't coming with, and essentially it's probably going to be my final decision, which I haven't decided on myself yet, so I can't truly advise. Horderface says, good afternoon, Havertz out for Coutinho. I've covered this one, my friends, so I'm going to jump on from that. Stephen Moore says, what do you think of Mateta for 35, 37 and 38? Southampton, Villa and Everton away, and United at home. Breuer to make way. Free hitting in 36. Yep, absolutely fine. I don't have too many arguments with that. The only thing I'd come back to on that is Nketiah. So West Ham now, possibly a weaker West Ham. Admittedly, no double. You've got Newcastle away 37. Then you've also got Everton at home 38. It is an extra fixture for Mateta if he stays in the team. And I don't think there's a guarantee that he does. So Mateta's off the table for me, purely because I don't actually mind having... And I have ruled out Wilfried Zaha, but I thought about him a lot this week. I thought he was very good Monday night. It was very unlucky to score, not to score. They've got Watford at home at 36 as a single. He's a good fixture. Then the double. And there's a chance I'm going to want to buy Zaha for 37 anyway. So I have ruled him out now, I think. Mateta, I guess it's the same problem with Nketiah, right? And you can influence yourself with your own bias to say, yes, I think he plays all the games, or no, I don't. I've ruled him out personally. I think Nketiah's the better option for me, but under your strategy, I agree that Mateta is probably the better way to go. But I think, again, those 2 players both have the same risks upcoming. Chris Briggs says, hello James, do you think Mount to Foden is a good move? Again, look, do you think Mount plays at Everton? If you do, no. And this is going to be, guys, sorry to kind of be repetitive about this, but if you're asking about Chelsea assets, you're going to get the same answers here, really. If the Chelsea assets you've got, you think they start this weekend, keep them. If you don't, move them on. Blake Young says, hey James, who would you bench out of James, Kulusevski or Nketiah? Probably Nketiah, to be honest, out of that. James has got way too much explosiveness. How he's not gone mental last night, no one particularly knows. And I think because of the fixture, slight favouritism for Kulusevski over Nketiah. Ethan says, do you think it's worth holding James Alonso despite rotation risk for the potential upside as Alonso demonstrated yesterday? You could look at it another way and say you've got your big haul from Alonso, move it on quick before he just ends up sitting there doing nothing for you for the next few weeks. Look, clearly with those guys in one fixture, say Wolves at home in 36, if that's all they get, they can pop off and return really great for you, of course. So yes, there's an upside, but is it a better upside than what Trent or Robertson will give you over 2 games, or even a Cancelo, for example? You may also have these players as well, or even Matty Cash, Norwich this week, and then double 36, double 37. So I think, yes, there's upside in those players, but there's upside in other players as well. Stian says, Ratcliffe official bid of $4 billion for Chelsea. By far the best option of the lot. Your thoughts? You caught me on the hop there, mate, because I haven't heard anything about it. So, unfortunately, I can't give you any thoughts. Kevin Remy says, Pukki or Kulusevski double game week? Since you asked specifically double game week, let's ask, who would you rather have in 36? Pukki, West Ham at home and Leicester away, or Kulusevski, Liverpool away and Arsenal at home? And the answer's Pukki. Damien Rozalski says, hi, James Linden. Which striker should I buy to replace Antonio? Your thoughts on Baby Watkins? Yeah, he's going to piss us all off, but that's where I'd be going as a first choice, yes. Zayn Ali says, hi, James. Thoughts on rolling this week and accepting a red arrow or for a really tasty -4 for 36? Yeah, I mean, look, can't really tell you to roll or not roll when I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. If you're happy with it, yeah, roll. I think rolling before doubles is a position of strength, right? I mean, ideally, I'm trying to set my team up, and this probably won't happen, to actually roll through 36 to be able to make 2 or 3 transfers in 37 is the ideal, but look, that requires 15 players to stay fit, which is not, or a loss of form, or someone loses their place in the team. For me to lock everything and still be happy this time next week is probably unlikely, but that's what I'd like to do. So yeah, if you can roll, roll. Stephen Moore says, can't wait to hold James for 3 blanks in 35, 37 and 38. And 3 hit him out for 36 for his 18-point haul against Wolves. It's inevitable. Yes, it feels a bit like that, Stephen, with Reece James. I feel like last night was the first time he got 2 points for ages. It's normally either like 1 or 0 or 18, isn't it? Like 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 18. That's normally how it works, isn't it? Tom Coombs says, Foden, Edison, Diaz and Pukki in. For Sarr, Cedric, Son and Weghorst for a -8. Yeah, I can't argue that too much because I think other than Son, the rest of the players are definitely binnable. Just check yourself on Edison. What's your expectation? I actually think Alisson is a far better option than Edison. I've looked at Alisson this week. And I know what it is with Edison. It's the kind of guaranteed starts. I get that. But Alisson can keep a clean sheet. He can generally get you like 8, 9 pointers. Edison just doesn't. So just give that a little bit of thought. But on the face of it, yeah, it's fine. Praise says, hey James, how are you? I'm very well, thank you, mate. These questions are solely based on wildcard decisions. Okay. Watkins or Richarlison? I think, look, because of the fixture this week, you go Watkins first, don't you? I think. And if you're unhappy with it, you can always move it to Richarlison. They're basically the same value. Just leave yourself a 0.1 spare. Maddison or Mount? If it was me, I would be more tempted to punt Maddison. But I wouldn't move from Mount to Maddison, if that makes sense. I think most people will say Mount to that, but I'm going to say Maddison. Justin or Young? That's probably Young. Whether he'll stay fit for a few weeks is anybody's guess, but I think Young. Saka or Coutinho is more difficult because I like the upside of Coutinho with minimal ownership, although there's certainly going to be some interest in the Villa assets. But I think most will avoid it, and it's partly because players like Saka are obviously a very similar value, so I understand the choice that you have there. If it was me, Coutinho, personally, what you got to remember is when I'm answering these questions, I'm a fixture man. That's always, and I know there's an opportunity to get in on Villa with the fixtures over the next 3 weeks, which I can't overlook. Whereas I look at Saka and go, if he blanks at home to Leeds, he could blank in the next 3 weeks. And for me, again, it's personal bias, perhaps not free hitting in 37 now. I'd arguably be benching Saka away to Newcastle in 37. Whereas Coutinho, with that double, obviously plays. But then again, if you're free hitting 37, you look at the final day, Saka at home to Everton or Coutinho away to Man City. So again, you have to be very cautious when someone, if you're asking someone on Twitter or something, they're giving you feedback, they're obviously going to have their own personal. So for me, Coutinho looks a better option, I think. For the majority of people not free hitting 38, right? So for the majority of people, I think Saka is probably still the right answer. Because if you're free hitting 37, you can get Coutinho then, can't you? So, I mean, double 36 similar. Arguably Saka's is a little bit better. Then Coutinho's got a better fixture this week. But then West Ham could heavily rotate. It's close. Vivek Gore says, what would you prefer on wildcard? Double Man City attack of KDB and Foden and defence Cancelo. Or double defence of Cancelo Laporte with KDB Foden. It's probably the double defence. I ideally want double City, double Liverpool defence. That said, I have been toying with treble Liverpool and 2 offensive City. So looking at going perhaps Van Dijk instead of Laporte and then maybe just going KDB and Foden and having some money spare as a contingency. But I think Cancelo Laporte, I think. Cole Valencia says, Bruno, no, not that one, the crap one. To who nothing in bank. Got Sterling, Son, Kulusevski, Havertz. Need to get rid of Bruno Fernandes ASAP. I'd get rid of him for anybody, mate. Get Matic. Nah, do whatever you want with it, mate. Spin it. You know, Brentford Monday. Nah, bin it. Bin it. Spread the money. Honestly, move it on. Dan L says, I love Such said to me on Monday, bet you can't wait to sell him. He's gone, mate. Dan L says, thanks for answering, mate. So if I do get Coutinho this week, which one to get rid of? I think Maddison over Mount. Yes, I agree, Dan. Matthew Hall says, I think because of now. There's a difference between punting one on wildcard and which one would you get rid of now. Do you need Mount? That's part of the question as well. Do you need Mount this week? I don't think Maddison starts at Tottenham. I'd be surprised. Matthew Hall says, could you touch on your wildcard thoughts currently? I think I have. Any Chelsea players? I'm planning not to, personally. Alonso or Cash to partner 2 Liverpool and 2 City. Yeah, it's probably. I mean, Cash is in for me. It's almost definite. Chim says Dennis or Nketiah for the 36 bench boost. Arguably, Dennis has got the better of it. You can look at it now and go, oh, Burnley, Palace, and Everton. It's a decent double, isn't it? To even start, João Pedro didn't start at Man City, and it looked like he had the favouritism. Enough doubt for me. I think he probably does start, and I haven't 100% ruled him out for myself because when you look at it, Burnley at home, Palace and Everton double, it's good. It is good. The problem is they're absolutely terrible. So I think I'm going to go without. I think it's Nketiah for me. A little bit what I said earlier. You got now starting centre forward at 5.4 for the 4th best team in the league. I don't think it needs overlooking. Damon Rosowski says, can Everton avoid relegation? Your thoughts? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. I think slightly scarily for them. I think Burnley will win tomorrow at Watford. And that would actually put Burnley above Leeds, ahead of Leeds' fixture against Man City. Leeds have got City, Arsenal, Chelsea in the next 3. So there's a chance for Everton to make that up a little bit. Admittedly, they're going to need to win at one of Leicester or Watford to do so. And Chelsea are probably going to heavily rotate away to Leeds, which is unfortunate for Everton as well. But Chelsea have got to do what's best for them ahead of the cup final. Those 3 fixtures for Everton, Watford away, Brentford at home, Palace at home, mean that I think even if they lose to Chelsea and Leicester, it's not over. because I think they could win those 3 games. I think it's possible. Watford away, Brentford at home, Palace at home. Could they win those 3 games in a row? Yes, they could. So even if they do end up 4 or 5 points adrift, it's not over. I think it's those games that will decide those fates. Certainly, look, they don't want to be in a position where they have to win all those 3 games. If they can get something Sunday, get something at Leicester, and give themselves the kind of buffer of 1 mistake in those 3 fixtures. I think they've got, from those 3 fixtures, Watford, Brentford, Palace, they've got to be looking at them now thinking we've got to win 2 of them. It's probably where they're at. Because Burnley have still got to go to Watford. They've got to play Villa twice. Newcastle at home, final day. Newcastle will have nothing to play for at that point. Doesn't mean Newcastle won't beat Burnley final day, but Burnley will fancy it. If you said to a Burnley fan now, beat Newcastle final day to stay up, they'd take it. I have seen some jokes from Newcastle fans saying that they would roll over on final day to make sure Everton went down. Leeds aren't safe yet. If you look at Leeds fixtures, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Brighton at home is the final home game, and Brighton, as you know, is so unpredictable. And then they go to Brentford final day, and Brentford has been a tough away game for just about everybody this season, bar, ironically, probably Manchester United. So, I mean, in theory, Leeds could lose every game they've got left. They are not safe. So, yes, I think Everton do have a chance. Absolutely have a chance. It's not over yet. I have a suspicion they'll get out of it. I don't think Leeds are safe yet. Sam Cook says, would you do Son to KDB, James? No. No. If I was sitting there with Sonny, no. I wouldn't move that. I'd leave it. Sonny's captainable this week. A lot of people are going to do that. David Dobson says, hi James, thanks for the great content. I'm on wildcard and struggling between having either Matip and KDB or Trent and Foden. Which do you prefer? I mean, that's the sort of thing I could look at. And this is why I say kind of no one from the Liverpool City players is locked in. Because if I think I should have Salah and KDB, then Trent and Matip might facilitate it. Trent's returns since AFCON haven't been great. There's only 2 attacking returns in now. It also makes me think there's a big one around the corner, actually. And I know he's been playing a little bit more inverted recently. But I also think, like, from those positions, it gives him greater scope to be having shots at goal as well. So you might be losing a little bit in terms of the crossing. But then, actually, you've got creativity in different ways from him. So, look, he's a world-class player. But if Trent doesn't get the attacking returns, you do look at it and go, I save over 3 million here by going Matip. Does that then fix me up where I can squeeze in? And it might mean I need to go like Pookie instead of Richarlison or something. And these are the final decisions I need to make tonight. But I'm going to look at playing around with specific ideas like that. Personally, on the face of it, I would rather have Trent and Foden. The thing with Matip is, and this is the concerning bit, so Matip, if you look at him, he's playing all the league games, and Konate seems to be playing Champions League. But is it a case that Konate is playing midweek and Matip's playing weekend? In which case, if you're bench boosting, do you want to lose Matip away to Villa in 36? No, don't. It's the sort of game that smells like a Trent Hall to me as well, and that's the concern. Vivek Gore says, would you prefer Richarlison and Gordon on wildcard with bench boost 36? Well, I don't know, Vivek, what I'd be preferring it to, but at the moment, yes, I'm potentially having both of those players in on wildcard. TJ Powell says, hey James, hope you're well and loved the pod this morning. Great insight to your thoughts. Thank you, mate. Been reading that Bell may retire if Wales don't reach the World Cup. How do you think he'd be remembered if he did? Certainly not the way Real Madrid fans who can't remember further than last week will remember him. He will go down as most probably, I guess, Wales' greatest ever footballer. He will be the best player I've seen wear a Tottenham shirt. Him in his best, 12-13, untouchable. Best thing I've ever seen in a Tottenham shirt. So his legacy will be long-standing. Key goal scorer in Champions League finals. He's done a lot, right? He's done a lot. So he'll be remembered as one of the great players of the last 20, 30 years, even if they might tell you different in Spain. Zarish said, should I play Rudiger and Alonso or Dyer and Alonso? I'm so sad that we will hear advices for you just 5 more game weeks. Well, season's got to end at some point, hasn't it? I would definitely play Rudiger over Dyer, mate, personally. If you've got a Chelsea, City or Liverpool asset, you play them over, and this is defensively, you play them over the Tottenham asset, don't you? I think. I actually think both teams will concede this weekend, but I think you play Rudiger over Dyer. You've also got the additional threat with Rudiger, which is a little greater in terms of potential attacking output. So, I mean, that would be an easy one for me to play Rudiger. Skandahar says, how does Coutinho compare to Salah's son as a captain option? Is it anything more than a punt? No, it's a punt. It's a punt. You want me to sit here and say, oh, I've been looking deeply at the stats? No, I've had a glance. I've seen some things. I think he's a decent option this weekend. But it's 4 weeks to go. If you're not going to punt now, when are you? Playing the worst team in the league with respect to Norwich, I'm sorry, at home this weekend. I don't even think many Norwich fans will do. If I said to a Norwich fan, would you think Coutinho captain this weekend? I reckon most Norwich fans would say, yeah, crack on, mate. Point. So, is it a punt? Of course it is. It's 4 weeks to go. If you want to captain Salah every week, you can captain Salah every week. If you want to go Coutinho this week, Richarlison in 36, Zaha in 37, Nketiah in 38, like you can. There's many different ways to play this game. Is he a punt? Yes, of course he's a punt. Do I think it will pay off? Yes. Yeah, I do. If I didn't think it, I wouldn't do it. James98 says, hi mate, and I'm not saying I'll definitely captain, but he's definitely coming in my team. James98 says, hi mate, on wildcard, do you prefer Son, Odegaard and Richarlison or Coutinho, Dewsbury Hall and Kane? Already have Watkins up front and no free hit left. Cheers. So I'm looking at this and I'm wondering why you can't go Coutinho, Richarlison and move the money in midfield to something better than Odegaard or Dewsbury Hall. Because that's the answer I want to give you, James, to be honest. I'd be interested to know, James, if you want to DM me, I'd be interested to know what the alternative, who's the midfielder instead. If you go Coutinho and Richarlison, which midfielder is it instead? Because that sounds better. Tiffany FPL Firefly says, if you have both Kane and Son, which is a better captain this game week? Really torn. Cheers. And you will be, because wherever you look, you'll probably see the information you don't want, which is Leicester concede more chances down the left-hand side. I saw a narrative written yesterday that Kane likes to drift that way. Well, at the moment, Kane's not drifting left or right, unfortunately, and he needs to start doing it again. You'll see Kane's brilliant historical record against Leicester, well documented, scored more goals against Leicester than any other Premier League team. And he was sensational against them back in January. The Sun didn't play that day. And Tottenham played a different system that night, played 3-5-2 with Lucas up front with Kane, which almost be very surprised if they play that system tomorrow now that Oliver Skipp's obviously been ruled out for the season. Not that I'd hate it if we did, by the way. Particularly if Kulusevski played wing-back, I'd actually be quietly okay with that. It's really close, mate. It's really close. I would... Honestly, you could toss a coin. You honestly could toss a coin. I just think with Sonny, the ceiling's a little bit higher, isn't it? It's a little bit higher. A little bit more. Again, a little bit like what I said with De Bruyne earlier. Kane could score and it might be 6 points. Son could score and it might be 11. So I think when it's that close, and it is really close, I think you side with the midfielder. So, Sonny for me. Miena Sidom says, hey James, who to start? Mateta, Pukki or Broja? The right answer is probably Broja, but does he even start? That's doubtful, isn't it? The only one that definitely starts is Pukki, but I think that's the worst option of the three this weekend. I'll tell you what, Miena, I'll have a think about all three of them, and I'll tell you what, I'll make sure they're all on the bench in dilemmas for you. I'll have a think about it. Colm Bugler says, I'm going without Spurs assets till game week 38. So I'm obviously not taking FPL too serious anymore. He's bringing in Origi, just going one step too far. Probably is, yes. It probably is. You've got visions of Origi scoring at Newcastle a few years ago at the end of the season, in similar vein to his great record against Everton. No. I can't make a case for Origi to be better than Nketiah or Dennis. Also wasting a Liverpool spot. So, no, I can't make the case, mate. Daniel Burton says, would you do James to Robertson in 36 by using a Kulusevski to Gordon to fund it? Or can Matip cover him? There's lots going on here, Daniel. James to Robertson is a bit sideways-ish, and you're looking for 2 fixtures, obviously, from Robertson, without the guarantee that Tsimikas could play at Villa, for example. I think that would be unlikely, in all honesty. But that's why you want to do it, isn't it? You don't think James will play twice. Otherwise, you wouldn't consider moving it right now. The best advice I can give you, Daniel, is forget about it. Enjoy the weekend. Sounds like you're not doing anything now. See how you feel this time next week. Don't overthink it, mate. Torge, don't listen. By the way, this ain't a week coming after deadline to be making early transfers. The only people who should be making early transfers are those who are activating the free hit chip. The information for next week is far more important. That said, maybe I'm thinking that with my bench boost hat on. If you've got cover on the bench, I suppose you can move early, to be fair. Torja says, no more chips, Cash and Foden, or Laporte and Coutinho. Close. I'm going to say Laporte and Coutinho. Close. Kieran Cronin says, Son and Foden, or KDB, plus Coutinho. Son and Foden or KDB and Coutinho on wildcard. Got bench boost and free hit. I mean, it's probably KDB Coutinho for me, mate. Zal Simpson says, is Tomiyasu decent as a cheap differential? He might be, particularly if you don't need him this week. I think my instinct is that Arteta probably won't start him this week. But I expect him to be back in the team for the Leeds game the following week. So, possibly depends what you need this week. He'd definitely be first choice. There is a case for him, yes. Colin wants everyone to hit the like button, people. Yes, that'd be good. There's about 200 of you so watching live at the moment. Do smash a like, hit the sub button. And if you're listening on the audio, guys, a nice little review on Apple or Spotify goes a long way with the 5 stars. We don't ask for it much, so it'd be appreciated. Hector Palmer says, as someone with no wildcard left and chasing, is there more upside in free hit 36 or free hit 37? Hector, I'm sorry, it's the shit answer, but it really does depend how you're set up, mate. Like, if you're set up great for free hit for 36, why do you want a free hit in that week? So, I feel like the answer is 37, personally. Right, I'm going to cover 3 more and then we'll call it a day. Vivek Gore says, who would you go for as 5th defender between Matip and Justin on wildcard? Have Robertson, Cancelo, Alonso and Gahey. Matip, Vivek. Miena says, hey James, who would you replace Dean with for bench boost 36? Ideally for under 5 million. Well, could Ashley Young be a consideration for you? You could consider the likes of Ben Davis. Ryan Sessegnon has got a higher upside, but is a little bit more risky. But then I can understand defensively against Liverpool and Arsenal, you probably don't want that. Tomiyasu, we've just mentioned, maybe. I throw a name out there who I haven't completely ruled out for myself. It's Seamus Coleman, who is way overpriced. He's 4.9 million. But the reality is, Everton have brilliant doubles in 36 and 37. And some stories get written in the stars, like Seamus Coleman scoring the goal that keeps Everton up. Like, there's no science on this. Everton are shit, right? But there's worse plays for a really short period for 36, 37. Particularly if you don't need him this week and don't need him 38. If you just need for 36 and 37, I think Coleman's reasonable. I mean, if it's just 36, 37, you could make a case for Coleman over Young, for example, I think. You could, generally. 9Tank7 says, great content again. First round of the Cup for me this weekend. Small Cup. Should I captain between Salah, Mane, Mount and Saka, given the guy I'm up against has Kane, Kulusevski, Saka and Salah? Depends. Presumably your opponent's probably going to captain Salah. So, do you want to match that in terms of, do you think you can beat him with your other players? or do you think Salah won't return big and therefore you want to go elsewhere? I think the right answer for me probably to give you, considering you have some differential players already compared to your opponent, is just stick with Salah and let the rest of the team take care of itself. Right, that's all for now, guys. Sorry I'd obviously not got through all your questions. If you want to take a screenshot of it, slide in my DMs. Happy to answer your questions. What I don't answer is when people just DM me and go, James, what's the best week to free hit? Or thoughts on my team. Because I get way too many of them, and I'm going to be honest, when the message request comes up, I just press the delete button. But if I see the screenshot from here, I'll answer it. Main podcast next week, guys, won't be till Tuesday. Me and Sudra are actually going to take the day off on Monday because it's a bank holiday here in the UK. But I'm not taking the weekend off because I'm going to be recording with Dara Curran on Sunday morning before I head to Tottenham. And that's our Fulham correspondent, Tinkerman. So we're going to have a podcast out for you on Monday in terms of what we can expect from Fulham and what's worked so well for them under Marco Silva, obviously promoted back to the Premier League ahead of next season. So that'll be out for you on Monday. Obviously, if you do want to support our content, we like the likes, we like the 5-star ratings, it's all much appreciated, guys. Obviously, you can support us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. For the advanced tier patrons, your team news stream will be at 6 PM UK time this evening. For those who do want to support us on Patreon, it's the 29th of the month. At this stage, I do recommend probably waiting until Sunday because it'll be a brand new month. Other than that, thanks very much. Play it your way, guys. Hope your arrows are green this weekend. Be nice to each other, and for the benefit of those on the audio, cue music, please, man child.